Welcome to Delphinium, the engagement builder. I am Dr. Jared Chapman. I have a master's in educational technology that I picked up there at Utah State. I also have an MBA from Brigham Young University and then a PhD in organizational psychology from BYU. I have done something involved in education for about 25 years now. For the last 8 years, my focus and my research has really been on developing Delphinium at UVU. We have grown to a point to where the tool is stable, and we would like to expand beyond the group of customers we have right now. What I'm really passionate about is creating environments where people can be successful so they can carry that success into their personal lives. So a little context, why is Delphinium needed now? Education is changing. We're all in the business of helping students succeed. The way I think about it is I have entered into a social contract with my students. They give me their time and their money, and in return, I've committed to give them the best possible experience I can so that they can improve their prospects in life, that they can go on to support themselves and their families and to build themselves. In this process, more and more education is moving online, and students are coming to expect that it's online. At the same time, our approach to teaching people has not really caught up with this shift. We have been teaching in the same way for decades, if not hundreds of years. And moving online has been slow to adapt. We tend to just try to take face-to-face type teaching experiences and push them into an online environment. A lot of times these types of strategies don't translate well when they get into an online environment. Let me share with you a few sobering statistics. These are all in higher ed. Low-income and underprepared students have withdrawal rates that are 10 to 15% higher in online courses. About 4 in 10 students drop out of college each year, which means about $2 million in 2 million students each year drop out with school debt. And people with a degree, without a degree, make $17,500 less a year, which ends up being about $1 million less over their lifetime, and they're twice as likely to be unemployed. So this is a problem that I want to tackle. I want to help people complete their university experiences, and we also apply this to the K-12 environment, so complete their coursework. So why do some students struggle in online education specifically? I think this is really clearly a complex question, but I think there are two assumptions that people make about poor performing students that I'd like to challenge. The first assumption is that they're performing poorly because they just can't do good. They can't do well. And the second is that they don't perform well because the training itself isn't up to snuff. The content and pedagogy just aren't effective enough. And I think these two things are probably true some of the time, but I think in most cases, it's probably not the whole story or even most of the story for why students struggle. I think most of what we teach in school is within the reach of most of our students. Most of us are not teaching rocket science, advanced calculus. Most of us are teaching things that are in the reach of most of our students. And we have all encountered students who were struggling initially, but then who caught fire and came alive. So with this in mind, it seems to me that raw student ability is rarely the limiting factor to why students are performing well or not well. Regarding pedagogy and content, we have literally been at that hundreds of years, and there's not a lot of low-hanging fruit there left to improve. There's only so much you can do to improve visual aids and activities. So in addition to student abilities and effective pedagogy and content, I think there's a third ingredient required for students to be successful, and that is that students have to want to learn. I think we often overlook this ingredient of student engagement and motivation when we're thinking strategically about how to help students, and that's where Delphinium can help. So what is Delphinium? Delphinium is an award-winning Canvas plugin that quickly adds an engaging overlay to any course. It's research-based, and it draws on principles of learning, motivation, behavioral economics. Maybe you've heard of nudge theory. Its goal is to help students want to learn. Specifically, we're focusing on improving student withdrawals, failures, dropouts, and performance. The idea is to help students emphasize the skill, will, and thrill of learning. That is 4 bullets that cover hours of things I could lecture on. We clearly don't have time for that, but if you are interested, you can see my latest InstructureCon presentation at, you can see the URL there, cutley./Delphi, cutt.ly/Delphi. There you'll see me kind of talk more about the theory and the research behind Delphinium. So where did Delphinium come from? The story starts in about 2012. I noticed that my students seemed to be addicted to their smartphone games. And the thought came into my mind, how can I get my students addicted to my homework? That thought was the genesis that has led to the research and development for Delphinium. What Delphinium does is it takes the traditional Canvas interface. So this will look familiar to you if you've been using Canvas, where we have a list of modules, and inside those modules are assignments. Delphinium draws that same data out using the LTI and API interfaces and creates something more like this, where the modules are displayed in a more engaging way, than the information that they need to help them perform is upfront and visible. It surfaces the right information at the right time so that the students want to perform better. Let me show you a couple of examples of how this might, these components might be combined in a course. I think I want to make the point here that Delphinium is designed to be pedagogy agnostic. It doesn't really matter to Delphinium how you've designed your course. It is flexible enough and provides enough options and possibilities to meet you wherever you are and how you've designed your course. We've had some really exciting combinations, teachers who have come up with really unique ways to design a course, and Delphinium has been able to enhance those. So this interface that you're looking at right now is designed primarily for a face-to-face or a hybrid type course. Here the modules are displayed as information-rich boxes that help students see clearly where they have been, where they are, and where they're going. Here's a different combination of Delphinium components. In this interface, it's designed for self-paced online classes where students have the freedom to choose their own path through the content. This interface is different than the other two. It is designed to support a cafeteria style or a competency-based course design, where the students are presented with a large number of assignments and they are free to choose cafeteria style which assignments interest them and earn enough points to earn the grade they're shooting for. In addition to the improved content and feedback tool, Delphinium also includes a suite of components that drive engagement and direct student attention to key activities. These include things like a leaderboard, avatars, prize boxes, and a variety of other dashboard elements.
Can I make a question about the cafeteria?
Please.
I'm curious how I'm pretending I'm a student. Could I pick and choose the dessert menu items, or are there some requirements that help me add a few vegetables there too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if we look a little closer, so what we've got here is the traditional modules in Canvas, but we're using course outcomes to split the content of those modules across the course outcomes visually. So if you look at this, then the students will fill these buckets with selections from each of the course outcomes. And when they reach a specific threshold, they're given a bonus for having reached that threshold. At that point, there's no perk for staying in the dessert bucket, for example. But if you move to another bucket, there's additional bonus points available. So the idea is to provide a carrot to the students so that they choose for themselves a variety of assignments according to the design that the teacher selects. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, very smart mechanism.
I wish I would have thought of it. We worked with some teachers. We got a Title IX grant to build this particular piece of it, and they were experts in cafeteria style. So together we designed this. In addition to the student-facing features, there are also a lot of powerful teacher-facing tools. So Delphinium does not just try to motivate the students to engage with the content, it also tries to motivate the teachers to engage with the students. So there are a wide range of tools that allow teachers to identify struggling students or students who are excelling, and it gives them the means by which to quickly communicate with those people. I have sent, so our semester started a week and a half ago. I've probably sent 15 emails out to my class. 15 emails, though, I have 265 students. I was able to identify students who share specific characteristics and send them a mass customized email. When they receive the email, it appears to be a personal message, though it's not. However, when they email me back, they say things like, wow, I've never had a teacher care about me so much. Thank you. Let me tell you what's going on with my life. At that point, that does become a personal one-on-one conversation between me and the student. And it really helps me to engage in a sea of students that otherwise it might be easy to lose specific people. Last screenshot I want to show you is that Delphinium provides an easy to use environment and templates that make adding Delphinium easy to add to any course. It's quick and simple. It's just a drag and drop environment. I met with a group of designers this morning, and it took us about 10 minutes to make the first course because I was teaching them, and then the second course we did in under a minute. It's really quite quick to add Delphinium to any course without changing the course at all. So let's look at some of the research. Does Delphinium work? In a word, it does, yes. I think this graph does a good job of showing the effectiveness. Let me walk you through it. So if you look along the bottom of the screen, you see February, March, April. These are the months of the semester. If you look vertically, we've got the points available in the class 0 to 1,000. The red zigzag line is where I expect them to be point-wise at any time in the class. The blue lines are the students' actual performance, and if you look close, there are blue dots on the blue lines. Those are actual assignments that are submitted. The orange dots are the last assignment they submitted, and the orange line is today. Anyone, what do you notice about the blue lines?
They look
They're all
bell curve.
much higher.
Yeah, they're higher than the red line. That's the big idea, right? If my expectation is the red line, they are far outperforming my expectations. I think it's important. This becomes really, really interesting when you understand this particular class design a little better. Not every Delphinium class is designed this way, but this one was, and it maximized kind of the motivation side of Delphinium. This class has no due dates on any of the assignments. And this class has no sequence of assignments. The students are free to choose what assignments they do when they do them. This class is also online, so they have never met me, the teacher, and they have never met any of their peers. So none of the traditional motivators are in this class, yet you see that excellent progress, and that's coming from Delphinium's ability to engage students.
I've got a question on that one.
Please.
I love the idea. I believe this model helps the students learn initiative and self-management, but I'm really curious what percentage of them wait till the last minute, so to speak.
Well, you can see right there. It's in the beginning. So Delphinium has mechanisms that pace students that are not due dates.
Such as?
So in this particular course, it has milestones. So you have to, what we ask the students to do is get X points by a certain date. So get 100 points by Tuesday. If you do, I'll give you some bonus. If you don't, I'll give you some penalty. If life gets in the way, that's fine. hit me up on the next milestone for some bonus. Does that help a little bit?
Love it. Yep, very smart.
And that is one. So there are 3 different pacing mechanisms in Delphinium. This one uses a 3rd pacing mechanism. These are due dates based on modules instead of content. And so you see that shade that says locked, and then you see the countdown timer in the top left. It's creating this sense of urgency for the student. You're going to lose the next row of assignments in 4 days, 17 hours, and 52 minutes and 4 seconds. And that's continually counting downwards while they're looking at it. As that gets to 0, the shade will drop and you will lose that row of assignments. All of those modules are available all of the time until they're not, and then they're gone forever. That's practical because the teacher can then grade that week's worth of assignments. Otherwise, they would be grading popcorn all over the place. So 3 different pacing strategies. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I like it. Do the students find the mechanism fun to figure out?
Yeah, it's different so Delphinium can be combined in maybe a half a dozen different foundationally different ways, so that when a student comes in, the first thing they do is they onboard and they have to learn how this version of Delphinium is working. And it's based on what the teacher wants. Delphinium will go to the course design of the teacher. Results. So we've done a few research studies. Let me walk you through a couple of them. 72% of students report that Delphinium is more or much more motivating. That was true across all demographic categories, including age, gender, time spent playing games, and comfort level with technology. We asked students, how is this class different than your traditional other classes? And one of the most common words that come up is fun. This was more fun. And students report that they do their work earlier with better quality.
Now, can I ask a quick question? In that study, you're going to right now, so there's about 420 participants in it?
This is a different study. So this particular study, I've got to remember, it was across, I think, 4 or so sections. So it probably had in the neighborhood of 200 or 300 participants.
And was that mostly, I mean, it says across age and gender and whatnot, but was that including elementary, high school, and...
This particular study, so I have a lot of access to college students, and I don't have a lot of access to K-12 yet. Okay. So this particular study is junior, senior year of college.
Okay, thank you.
This study is freshman year of college. So students dropping out in their freshman year is a big deal. We have one K-12 environment. Logan City School District has just adopted Delphinium, and so I should be hopefully getting more data in that world soon. We have one teacher who's been doing the junior high level for a while, and she loves the tool, but we haven't done any actual studies there. All right, so this study, we're focusing on withdrawals, failures, and dropouts. We have 12 sections in the study. 4 are using Delphinium and 8 are not. The N is about 420. Those courses that used Delphinium were able to show a 67% decrease in withdrawals, a 47% decrease in failures, and a 65% drop in dropouts. And I don't have it on this slide, but there was also a 10% improvement in performance. These are pretty big numbers, and obviously this is one of my better studies, but we were able to, in a different course, reproduce that failure results. They had exactly 50% improvement in failures in that second course. So what are students saying? They say things like, I would spend more time studying for this class. I could be felt in control of my education. I saw that I was doing much better than I thought I was. I knew what I had to do to reach my goal. I liked knowing that a little extra effort would make a difference. Teachers say things like, Delphinium makes my online courses much more interactive. The messaging app and grade visualization tools are big time savers, and students feel they are getting constant personal attention and feedback. With Delphinium, students always know how they are progressing through the course. So as far as return on investment, this is kind of my sales hat on. Let me give you a hypothetical example of how this might work. So a lot of schools, for a lot of schools, the legislature are expecting results for the taxpayer investment that's gone into that. So we can compute what the annual cost per graduated student might be. So again, this is a university example. I think you could see how it would apply in other environments as well. So imagine a large university that has a budget of $250 million. This might also be like a school district or something. This is UVU's budget, annual budget, to give you some context. So $250 million a year go into the university. So this covers buildings, grounds, custodial, teachers, administrators, everything. That's the complete and total budget for the university in 1 year. So that money goes into the university, and out comes $3,700 every year. That means that if you do a little math, there's an annual cost per graduate of about $67,000. If we could improve withdrawals, failures, and dropouts so that we were able to improve the graduation rate by just 1%, that would graduate 37 students more each year, which would lower the cost per graduate about $670, which would mean that the university was able to spend about $2.5 million more efficiently every year. If we want to be more conservative, if we just drop that to 1/10 of 1%, we would still be allowing the university or the school district to spend $250,000 more efficiently every year. So that's kind of the end of the spiel on Delphinium and with some background. I do have a couple of other slides, but they're more theoretical in nature. Maybe if they answer a specific question, I'll share those. Any specific questions at this point?
For the people who've chosen to adopt it, what do you think the key, like why are they doing it? Why are they adopting it?
Brent has interviewed some people. Brent, would you be willing to field that question?
Yeah, as far as interest level from faculty, it's the engagement with the students. That one piece that Jared shared, their ability to kind of connect with the students. Obviously, the withdrawal, the metrics that he just went through are vitally important as well as you think of from the administration side of things. The engagement with the students, the ability to increase retention, be able to reduce dropouts, withdrawals, et cetera, has been a big factor as well. In the end, we're getting more and more attention around virtual learning. Obviously, UVU's been doing it for years. Many universities have, but with the most recent situation, obviously it's creating even a greater demand for that. And so the ability to make it a program that motivates the learner to continue to develop and retain and go all the way to a degree kind of completion has been a big factor in kind of the interest around the tool and making that experience, both for the faculty as well as the learner, much more rich and much more effective. Does that answer your question?
Yes, so I think you're saying both the data, showing the increased completion rates, and also the, teacher, increasing that interaction, that ability to interact with the students.
Yeah, it's the engagement of the students, keeping them engaged to where they complete, right? They're able to develop to the point where they can complete their educational experience. Has been a big factor. The faculty love it. It's they engage. In fact, some of the faculty in the interviews that I've done may not be as adept or as interested in some of the gamification benefits of it. But what they find is the students' ability to successfully complete their responses, the ability to communicate with their individual students in a way that they never have has been a huge bonus as far as that tool from a faculty perspective, in addition to the students' interest in their own development.
This is how a typical Canvas course looks, right? It's just this sort of gray scroll of death that the students just plow through. And as far as feedback, the only thing they see is a green check mark in the side that says they've done it. Not a lot of motivational affordances here built into this environment. Let me show you the same course in Delphinium. So in this version of the course, this is the teacher view. It is very colorful when the students see it. They're able to click on these modules and get to the module assignments. I think you can see that this is what's really happening is we've pulled in that Canvas data and just displayed it. As far as what the teacher has to do to make this happen, it's turn it on, and then it does the rest. Student progress is these white boxes change from white to light blue to dark blue to eventually green to show their completion. So at a glance, they can see their progress in the course. They can also see how they compare. So this class started on Monday. And I think this is brilliant already. So the class started on Monday, and we already have a student here who is getting close to a quarter done with the class. This red line is where I expect them to be, and you can see that over half of the students, even though we only started like 3.5 days ago, are already pulling ahead of what's required for them.
I was just curious for my purposes, if there's a way, if the students didn't want, can they have like avatar names? I know that you talked about avatar, but.
Yes, they have aliases. So when they come into the class, they're randomly assigned an alias. So I'm Honda, you're Toyota, and we are duking it out against each other. I can see your overall scores and you can see mine, but it is anonymous. I have an alias, I have an avatar, you have an avatar, and we have that moment of competition. Now, I need to be clear, in the research we've done, not every student enjoys competition. Some students get intimidated by it. And so, but a lot of students like knowing they are in the pack. They like to know that they are with other people. Let's see. So this is the leaderboard. There's no students in this one. The way it's designed is there are actually 5 leaderboards here. And Delphinium will divide the students into 5 cohorts so that students are competing for first place with students of similar ability. If someone is the first place in the gold leaderboard, they can work really hard and knock off the last place in the diamond leaderboard and continue to work their way up through that leaderboard. We'll see if this works. I don't know if you can hear my sound, but these are prize boxes. Think of them like what's at the bottom of a Cracker Jack box. As a student earns points, these get unlocked. So these are just silly. Here's another one. I think this one's funny. So maybe I'm just a child inside. I think that's funny. Here's the avatar tool. In the avatar tool, as students earn more points, they unlock more options, and they get to build an avatar that works for what they think is funny. These avatars show up in the leaderboard so their peers can see them. I personally don't think the avatars are interesting. I don't know that I would put a lot of energy into them. I'm finding that there are a group of students who are really engaged in them and really work hard to get that next level. So I think an important point I want to get across, Delphinium is not intended that every piece is motivating to every student. Instead, the idea is that every student can find a piece that is motivating in there for them. Some students are hyper competitive, and so the leaderboard is going to be very motivating. Other people like to collect things. Other people like to build an identity in the interface. Being able to see where you've been, where you are, and where you need to go. All of these are powerful tools that help students progress through a course. Here's a third course. In this course, there's no sequence of assignments. Instead, you complete units or clusters of content. This is the course that goes with that blue line chart I showed you earlier. So for a student who starts the course, this is all going to be gray and locked, except for the start here. They click here and they'll be moved through the content. And then when they refresh the page, other modules will begin to open and it will spread outwards as they unlock more options. So to make it more clear what Delphinium is, I'm going to click one of these links. So if I click Getting Started, it opens a new tab, and I'm in Canvas now. So all Delphinium is a skin. Delphinium has no pedagogy tools in it. It only links directly to the tools that are in Canvas already. I think that's my spiel. Maybe now would be a good time to take any remaining questions.
I know Rich had a question about any challenges that you faced, or he called them problems, or just feedback where people are like, this isn't working, or what is the challenging the things that you've had to face to get things to refine things or train things or get adoption, work through an adoption.
So we've been at this 8 years, right? And so these days we don't have much of that. Along the way, I can tell you things that have been challenging. Mass adoption was a challenge that we this summer launched that upgrade. So at this point, you install Delphinium once and it's in every course, but disabled. And so adding it to a class is now trivial. It used to be a complex sequence of, you have to get permissions from your Canvas administrator and a lot of different things. But now it's install once, use it for everybody. Other challenges that we've had in the past are, well, onboarding is one we're still working on. A lot of times what we see is people will add the Delphinium class to a course that is being taught by 12 sections, 12 different teachers, some of whom are adjunct teachers. And so onboarding, so that if a teacher gets tagged to teach a class, the week before school starts, they need to be able to come into Delphinium and understand how it works. And so what we're building right now is an artificial intelligence that can read the design of the course and serve up customized training, both for the students and for the teachers, in the form of, maybe you've seen them on some websites where you get a little bubble that pops up and says, start here, click this. If you use Asana, for example, the first time you ever used it, it had this tutorial walkthrough. So we're building a tool that dynamically builds those, and then the teachers can add to them if they like. Trying to think of other challenges. We had most of our challenges when we did a pilot with BYU when we first got started. That was our first sort of not us team of people who weren't me and teachers I knew personally using the tool. And the first iteration, we found a lot of things were like, wow, I just never thought about it. That's a barrier that's just too challenging for the average teacher to use. So we've been working, that was 4 years ago. We've been working for the last 4 years to eliminate all of those. You know what I can show you that I didn't show you? Let me pull this back in. So this is the editing environment. So let me show you what it might look like to add some game elements or add some different elements to this page. So I'm going to add a new tab. Okay. I'm going to make this into a row, and I'm going to add 2 cells. And here I will add some prize boxes and the avatar. And we'll add a text box. So I hope what I'm demonstrating for you is how quick and easy it is to make adjustments, to improve.
Does this work on mobile devices?
It does. Let me show you. So there is mobile, and we can change the size, get up. Eventually, there's a tablet size. So it's responsive and will adjust.
I'm also curious about the responsiveness of the cafeteria UI. 'Cause that one looked pretty complex, but still easy to use.
It will stay. This one is not as mobile friendly. We just got a grant to make everything more mobile. That we'll start working on that project in about 30 days. Let's see what happens. So it looks like we'll try. Yeah, it's not doing super well there, is it? That one doesn't shrink up that well. It will flex and move to the side, but it doesn't do super well. It's a really data intense tool.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I understand why it isn't. I just wondered if it was.
Yeah, that will be. So we did get a grant to work on that. We're doing a project in some third world countries where having a laptop is not that available. So they have asked us to really go through everything and make it very mobile friendly.
So I'm curious if I know that you've done a lot of testing in higher ed, and then now you're moving into high school. Have you done any testing in elementary or middle school yet?
Nope. We have not had anyone there.
I'm just thinking of all the kids that are online right now, and some K to 12 are moving towards Canvas, and they would just eat this up.
I agree. I have shown it to people, and they have, there's a lot of excitement when people see it and start thinking about their own students, especially when you compare the module interface from Canvas as being a third grader's window in to the content, that gray scroll of death. I think that we can do better.
Well, thank you so much for presenting. I really appreciate it. I think it's certainly been valuable to me, and hopefully it's interesting to others as well.
I will say, if anybody has any contacts, I offer a free 6 months demo to anybody who wants to try it. I would love to just continue to put it in front of people and get feedback.